What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Touchdown Talk, College Football Edition. Host Brett Smith. Today is Monday, October 27th, 2025. Um, I'm sorry again about this weekend that I could not get a video out for my best bets and previews. A little tied up, but everything's good now. And so I guess we'll just go into a little recap of the weekend. Got some big news, big games everywhere. And the biggest, I guess, not really shock. You knew it was going to happen at some point, honestly. I thought it was the end of the year with how things were looking. LSU fires Brian Kelly Sunday night. Now, he went 34-14 at LSU. He was 5-3 this year, but just got smoked Saturday night at home against Texas A&M, 49-25. By the end of the game, there was more A&M fans there than there were LSU fans. It just seemed like a really lackluster year. I mean, offensively, it was terrible. Um, you know, I don't think if it was this bad that they would have just done Joe Sloan and that would have been it. With this and just kind of looking like you've quit, it had to be both. And so LSU opening up, they're saying, hey, we can afford this $50 million buyout for Brian Kelly to get somebody better, to get somebody who actually cares and can, um, I guess, win. Because that's what LSU expects year in, year out, is to be a top 5 program in the country and compete for a national championship, which they should. Now, I never really thought with Brian Kelly they would get back to that level, but they showed glimpses of where they could. But really, Brian Kelly from the get-go did not care about LSU or Louisiana as a whole. He cared more about himself, and it ended up showing the past year and a half. Made some questionable coaching hires, had some questionable things during the offseason, like not being on vacation during crucial periods where transfer portal was open, commits, all that were taking place, and other coaches are hard at work. He just didn't really seem like he was committed to the whole process. Um, you know, kind of more of that selfish line along the, yeah. I mean, it just, I didn't think he was the right fit. I thought he would have finished out the year, but I guess they want to go ahead and start looking as well, along with 8 other places. So now getting into that, this is bound to be the wildest coaching carousel we've had in college football history, with 8 jobs already open, and 2 more that I can think of, Auburn and Florida State, coming about. 10 coaching searches in one off season is about to create so much drama. But I would say 1 and 2 were Penn State and Florida interchangeably. And now that pushes them both down 1 and puts LSU right there at the top. I've seen things where people are ranking Arkansas as the 4th best job, which I can agree, because you got Virginia Tech and UCLA right behind them, and then the lower programs. But if you're Florida, you're mad. If you're Penn State, probably you're mad. If you're Arkansas, you're mad. Because now, any of these candidates that you wanted to take a shot at are going to hear your offer, but then if they get offered by LSU and get offered 8 figures a year, they're going to go to the place that can recruit and win. So it's about to be a bloodbath this college football season. Just stay with me on it, And speaking of staying with me, if you guys are new here, please be sure to like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot, keeps me giving off content to y'all, and then, you can stay up to date with the latest news. But back to it, I am sure that 3 or 4 places that open up are going to make this man, Lane Kiffin, their number 1 priority. And Florida already has, and I guarantee you LSU is about to do the same. LSU is about to talk to him. They may talk to like Joe Brady, offensive coordinator, who was at LSU in 2019. And then you can fantasize it, but Nick Saban. The only way I think Nick Saban does is getting 8 figures a year and wants to coach again at the place he started at. Or, I guess not started at, but sorry about that if you guys heard that. But would be entertaining the idea of him being there, but it's not going to happen. I mean, talks are going to heat up. It's going to be crazy. I don't even know how to describe the coaching carousel that we're about to endure, because you're going to think that you are safe with this one guy and it's about to be finalized, and then some program is about to swoop in and lowball it, or not lowball it, I guess, highball it at this point, and come in and offer $1 million more for the same amount of years, or maybe, and then that coach is out the door as soon as you thought you had him. It really makes you wonder with some of these teams that did this if it should have been years prior, or now you're looking at it and you're saying, maybe we shouldn't have done it now. There are some places, Penn State prime example, where I said when James Franklin got fired, it was premature. Now you see what you're dealing with. Marcus Freeman's already turned you down and Florida down. And now you're talking about Brian Hartline, the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, who has not been a head coach ever. So your options become a lot more limited and a lot more scarce, to where you can't mess this up. You really can't. And so it'll be interesting to see. I would say stuff would start heating up in about 3 to 4 weeks. Whenever the season is ending, you may already see some people going somewhere. And then you may see some where it's like the hot talk around that university. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Stick with me through it, though. Now to get into a recap of Week 9 college football. A wild one. We saw a ton of comeback wins. We saw a ton of blowouts. We saw everything. And so, really, there's about, I don't know, probably, I'll just get in the top 25 recap for this week, for this past week. So, well, let's start off with the big news of LSU. We'll go to Death Valley, where Texas A&M trounces LSU 49-25 in a game where LSU at the fourth quarter had no fans there, and A&M had more fans and were celebrating harder than LSU's. I mean, halftime you're up 18-14, and then you get outscored 35-7 in the second half. Marcel Reed is looking like the Heisman favorite. He was 12 for 21, 202 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. 2 not great interceptions, but other than that, he looked the part, because he also, on the ground, was the leading rusher. 13 carries, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. 4 touchdowns from that man. I mean, it's been year in, year out that he has put up numbers. And so, you know, back when A&M was looking at Mike Elko and was almost contemplating Mark Stoops being their new head coach, thank the Lord, they did not. Now you're sitting here under year 2 of Mike Elko. You're in the number 3 team in the nation, and you're 8-0 with very convincing wins in every single week. So you're looking at this A&M team, and you're thinking they are dangerous, and they could very well make it to the national championship. I mean, I see them college football playoff semifinals, depending on how the playoff shakes up. But every single team is going to have to come through A&M until they go to the semifinal site, wherever that will be. So this team is very good. There's no need for me to even say that. Everybody knows, everybody sees. LSU, on the other hand, now has no head coach and no offensive coordinator. So you're going out there with a mystery offense. You have a bye week to prepare to go to Alabama. Sitting at 5-3, unranked. This season started out 5-1, and you've lost 2 straight. Kind of a good game last weekend against, Vanderbilt. But this weekend, just completely uncalled for, unexpected. You could see the quit on everybody's face. I'm surprised they kept Garrett Nussmeier in there as long as he did. Once he got sacked in the fourth quarter, it was time to take him out. That was the only right call Brian Kelly made last night and this year. So, moving on, we have Alabama beating South Carolina 29-22 in a game that looked all but over for Alabama. In the fourth quarter, South Carolina's up 22-14 and somehow gives the lead up gets tied 22-22 on a 4-yard touchdown pass with 2 minutes left to Jeremy Bernard. They get the 2-point conversion, and then hang on. Trying to get all plays. So in the fourth quarter, 2 plays, 6 yards, 37 seconds, and a South Carolina fumble. And at that point, you give a 38-yard field goal in the back pocket of Alabama at that point. But they don't need it because Jeremy Bernard, again, gets a second touchdown in 2 minutes with a 25-yard run. Ty Simpson, 24 for 43, 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. Didn't even look crazy. Alabama still cannot run the ball. 10 carries, 26 yards for Jam Miller. And Jeremy Bernard had 25 right behind him. So, right there between the two, you're looking at 50 yards on the ground from a team that is known to run the ball a lot. If you're Shane Beamer in the South Carolina offense, I don't know how you lose that and how you recover from that, because that is one of the toughest losses that I've seen South Carolina take in a couple of years, probably since the duration of him being there. It makes no sense how that happened. It was astounding to watch. I was flabbergasted. But now if you're Alabama, you're 7-1, and you have a bye, and then LSU has a bye, and they come to your place 6:30 Saturday, November 8th. So, if I'm Alabama, you just got blessed there. And now, what else? What else can this team do? They need to figure out how to run the ball, or else it could be the downfall of that team right there. As if they're having to rely on Ty Simpson for everything on the offensive side, it may be a little tougher. So, that's all I got to say about that one. Crazy game, but next we have Ole Miss against Oklahoma, where Ole Miss pulls off the stunner in Norman. Not even a stunner. Pulls out the win in Norman, but a little stunning for Oklahoma fans, considering they had clawed back in the third quarter, scratched out 16 points, and were up 26-25 going into the fourth, and Ole Miss finds a way to come out with an 8-point win. Ole Miss came out punching at first, and I thought they would. They get up early 10-3. Satani has a 76-yard touchdown for OU. Then you get a safety, and then field goal. You're up 15-10. Then you're up 22-10 going into halftime. That one, I thought, hey, they're either going to get run out of the building, or it could get interesting. It got interesting. And so then after the third quarter, it's 26-25 OU, and then a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter early, and then a field goal to seal the deal. Trinidad Chambliss 24 for 44 for 315 yards and 1 touchdown. Kawan Lacey 27 carries for 78 yards. That is 3 yards a carry right there, less than, and 2 touchdowns. But on the other side, Mateer wasn't bad. 17 for 31, 223 yards, and 1 touchdown. Their defense kind of let them down this game, but this is a good Ole Miss team. There's nothing you can say that can change my mind about it. They just find some way to win, whether that's on the offensive or defensive side. They just can win, and so it's really I don't even know what to say. Ole Miss just keeps finding ways, except for last week against Georgia. They had it, and then they lost it. So, moving on. Vanderbilt, college game day, taking on Mizzou, and what I thought was going to be fireworks ended up being 17-10 and kind of a snoozer, but Vanderbilt is now in the top 10, 7-1. Who would have thought 3 years ago? And I mean, it's just ugly. I mean, Bo Prabula goes down. That's probably the highlight of this game. The highlight of this game is Missouri and their quarterback situation now. Without Bo Prabula, what's going to happen? Because Diego Pavia was 10 for 19, 129 yards, and 1 interception, and they beat you. Now, granted, let's check out the box score here. Vandy had 136 yards on the ground. So, really, their defense stepped up this game. It was, Bo Prabula before was 9 for 14, 68 yards, and then got hurt. And, Missouri outgained you the whole way. It's just they couldn't capitalize on what was given to them. You know, you're driving and it just stalls out. You're driving and it stalls out. Like, I'll pull up the play-by-play here. All plays. If you're Missouri, the first quarter you go punt, punt, punt. Second quarter you go field goal, punt. Third quarter you go turnover on downs, miss field goal. Fourth quarter you go touchdown, fumble, end of game. Whereas Vandy has the same thing. Punt, 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 field goal, end of half. Interception, punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown. That is one of the ugliest drive charts by a winning team that I've ever seen. I mean, you could say LSU had probably the same drive chart against Florida. They just had one better drive than Florida did. It really makes you wonder if you're Vanderbilt, if Diego Pavia can't throw or have a solid game against a good defense, because they're going to Tennessee, where Tennessee has a solid defense, where you get back, you're going to have a secondary that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So, I don't know, real snoozer of a game, but it is what it is there. Good win for Vanderbilt, and they needed that. Mizzou, hopefully you can get back on track, because you're sitting well enough right now. You're 6-2, where you have a bye week, then you have A&M at home, Mississippi State, OU at OU, and then at Arkansas to end the year. So you could go 9-3 very well, or you could go 8-4, and it just goes down the drain there. So we'll see what Eli Drinkwitz cooks up. Last game I want to get into, Texas at Mississippi State. Bulldog fans, I am very, very sorry. I don't know how this happens. A 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. Blemished. Gone. Just astounding to me. There was, let's see, 7. There was 31 points in the fourth quarter, and 24 of them were by Texas. You're up 38-21, and in 9 minutes, Texas ties it up, down 10 or down 17. Sorry, 2 touchdowns and field goal. Then in overtime, they get a touchdown and stop you. I mean, I don't know. Arch Manning, 29 for 46, 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Blake Shapen, 26 for 42, 381 yards, and 4 touchdown passes. I really am looking at this, and I'm like, how does Texas come back in this game? You have the punt return in the 4th. You have, let's see, in the 4th quarter, it is 31-14. You go touchdown, so it's 38-21. Touchdown, punt, field goal, punt, end of half. And that is how they. I mean, I. It's just hard to sum up how Mississippi State could lose that game to me. And I trust me, I'm an Arkansas fan. Mississippi State fans, I'm right there with you. We've done some inexplicable things as well. It really makes you question losing that game. Is Jeff Lebby the guy? Because if you win that game, you're sitting at 5-3. Now you're sitting at 4-4, and a lot of the fan base is not too pleased after that because now it's 4 straight losses after starting out the year 4-0. So you're right in the same boat with some of these bottom tier SEC teams again. You know, you're lucky to get the 4 non-conference wins early, but now do you go 4-8, 5-7 if you beat Arkansas this week? I don't know. But there may be some talks around Jeff Lebby as well. I mean, you want to hold out on the guy. You can't keep changing coaches every few years. But what if it doesn't work out again? What if midway through the year next year they're sitting at 2-5 and they're just, hey, you're done. So I don't know. That was a real season saver for Texas and their hopes. But I don't think those hopes will last much longer. They just can't keep that up. So we'll see. Wild week of college football. Week 9. Crazy that it's already week 9. Week 10, I'll have some videos coming out here shortly. I guess I'd say Wednesday or Thursday. Normal timetable. So other than that, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And I will talk to y'all later. See ya.